As director of Fftogallery, I act as artistic director and lead the development of our programmes in Wales and internationally. I have oversight of all Fftogallery's activities, including Diffusion, our biennial international festival of photography. In late 2017, I successfully tendered to curate and deliver a 2-year project working between the UK and the 6 GCC countries, using photography to explore the experiences of people in both regions at a time of change and global opportunity. The British Council had offered this commission as part of their 3-year UK Gulf initiative. It was my responsibility to develop a curatorial concept for the project, and this emerged over several research visits and after various conversations with artists, young people and representatives from cultural and heritage agencies in the GCC and UK. In a region like the Gulf with so many global and transient citizens, it seemed to me that the theme of home speaks to both our collective and individual experience. The speed of change in the Gulf has created new perspectives that are sometimes highly local and specific, at other times about sharing human experiences that transcend borders. I chose the title The Place I Call Home with a view to exploring this process of change and its impact on people. I felt it prompted questions and conversations on home as a concept and not just as a physical space. Central to this is revealing how photography is being used in the UK and the Gulf to capture and make sense of these societal shifts, to build understanding around the strong and rich cultural history that informs the identity of the contemporary Arab world. Once the curatorial premise of exploring what home means to people in the GCC and UK was established, the 3 sub-themes of the exhibition were quickly developed, these being 1. Placemaking, how planning, design, cultural, environmental and technological considerations define a region, city or neighbourhood. 2. Interculturalism, promoting dialogue and interaction between cultures to challenge isolation and self-segregation within cultures. And finally, citizenship, social responsibility, hospitality, inclusion, respect and tolerance. The participating photographers are very diverse, from young documentary photographers such as Ben Sedira and Josh Adam Jones, who explore the interculturalism and urban landscapes that define their feelings about the UAE and Oman, to established artists such as Amar Al-Attar, Moath Alofi and Hassan Mir, who examine the overlaying of tradition and religion on contemporary life in the Gulf. For British photographers such as Gillian Robertson and Richard Allenby Pratt, who have lived in the UAE for many years, their work is about ideas such as family, friendship, belonging and proximity to water that give them a sense of being at home in a country which is new to them. The work of Iman Ali, Zahed Sultan, Avi Green, Mohammed Al-Khor, Hussein Al-Musawi and Mariam Al-Arab in very different ways explores a sense of dislocation from living away from one's original home, but also how memory and stories keep a person culturally rooted. After scoping visits to the region and an open call process launched in September 2018, 16 photographers and artists resident in the 6 GCC countries and the UK were commissioned or selected by the curator to respond to the exhibition themes. In 12 cases, the artists were commissioned to develop a new body of work. Several artists took a poetic or conceptual approach rather than their work being purely documentary, exploring in various ways the 3 interweaving themes of the exhibition. The curator ensured a gender and age range balance, with both emergent and more established artists working in different photographic genres, video and installation. I hadn't actually met any of the artists previously, however I was aware of some of the work by Hassan Mir, Moath Alofi, Amar Al-Attar and Mohammed Al-Khor that I'd seen exhibited or published in Europe or North America. The project's content reflects a variety of lens-based media, from smartphone imaging through to analogue photography and video. The exhibition is a mixed media one, reflecting a diverse range of responses to the theme of home, different photographic practices and various approaches to creative storytelling. I don't think these relate to particular countries, as photography is democratic as a medium and the practices are quite globalised. However, it is interesting that in Bahrain and Oman, for example, that the mixed media work was so popular amongst artists, students and audiences. In Saudi, the more conventional documentary photography and video work resonated strongly, and in other places in the GCC and UK it was the installations and artist photo book that people were drawn to. In April and May 2018 I travelled to all 6 GCC nations in a series of scoping visits. I was immediately struck by the diversity of the countries that I visited. Although there are commonalities between the 6 Gulf states, there are also many important differences in terms of the demographic and cultural mix, and the ratio of expat residents to nationals. I found the contemporary art scene to be vibrant and well developed in some GCC countries, somewhat fragmented and only partially developed in others. Aside from brief stopovers in Bahrain and Dubai on previous trips, this was my first visit to all the GCC countries. I found the UAE both fascinating culturally and also challenging in terms of identifying the best location for the exhibition. With the introductions brokered by the British Council, I was able to visit several universities and arts organisations of different scales, from the small artist-run space to the National Museum, commercial galleries to campus-based exhibition facilities. I'm really glad that we eventually exhibited the exhibition in Sharjah, as it combines the best of tradition and contemporary urban life, and at heart it feels authentically Emirati. Such was the enthusiasm for the project I encountered in every country that I was determined to achieve a high-quality exhibition outcome in all 6 GCC countries and the UK, budget permitting. As the exhibition tour would involve 10 venues in 7 countries over 7 months, the logistical challenges were immense. By allowing for flexibility in how the exhibition content and presentation was realised in each country, by editing and producing part of the exhibition in situ, thus avoiding expensive crating and shipping costs, and by devising bespoke learning and engagement programs with local partners, it was possible to have 2 and at times 3 different editions being presented simultaneously. A modular approach to the exhibition content and wraparound public programme in each country seemed a more interesting curatorial proposition than a traditional touring exhibition. It also offers greater scope for creative buy-in and collaboration with the local partners. The participating partners range from large-scale galleries in museums and cultural centres, for example in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar and UAE, to independent art galleries in Oman, Saudi, Cardiff, Edinburgh and London, and even pop-up spaces in the case of Derby. So there was ample opportunity to stage the exhibition differently in response to the venue and the local context. We developed a menu of engagement activities to accompany exhibitions, which formed the basis of the public programmes delivered collaboratively with British Council team members in each country. This menu included artist and curator talks, tours for students from schools, colleges and universities, photo walks and participatory activities, professional practice sessions including portfolio reviews and career advice, and recruitment of creative interns from the target group of young people to assist with installations, event documentation and creative responses to the exhibition themes. One particular success has been this creative internship scheme. We recruited a young curators group in Derby, 3 creative interns in Kuwait, Qatar and Edinburgh, and 5 in Bahrain. They were a great asset to the project, assisting with invigilation and de-installs and generating new creative content that we've been able to share online through web and social media platforms. The complexity and negotiations and relationships involved in delivering a project at this scale in 7 countries over 2 years should be acknowledged. By drawing on the personnel and resources of Fftogallery and the freelancers and specialist suppliers within the organisation's orbit, the curator's capacity to deliver was significantly increased, but the demands on my time and headspace were immense and continual. For the 2 years I spent working on the project, there was not a day that passed without some aspect of creative content, production, logistics or communications that needed to be addressed. There was an opportunity to mitigate the amount of travel involved in planning and delivery of the project by basing myself in the GCC for extended periods between October 2019 and January 2020, enabling short trips between countries to meet venues, partners and British Council officers, at the same time as installing and launching exhibitions in Kuwait, Oman, Qatar and Bahrain. Over the course of the project, I wrote various essays, accompanying texts, content for press releases and interviews, and edited artist statements and project descriptions. All texts were translated into Arabic. In total, we printed 1,500 main exhibition catalogues and 6 additional catalogues for each GCC country in a print run of 500. A legacy catalogue uniting all 7 publications is now being produced in a print run of 500, including installation and event images from the 10 venues. The project has provided me with an opportunity to learn about the GCC region, about Arab culture, and to deepen my knowledge of the contemporary art scene in the Gulf. It has created new relationships and fruitful collaborations between the UK and GCC, which can form the basis of future projects. It has provided me with the opportunity to devise and deliver a creatively ambitious and far-reaching project, transcending national borders and stimulating intercultural dialogue. I'm immensely proud of what we achieved prior to and during the time of the global pandemic. I hope the project continues to have a resonance long after the exhibition in Sharjah comes to a conclusion at the end of August 2020. When we opened the place I call home in London, it felt like a homecoming of sorts, after so much travel and adventure over the last 2 years. I'm very keen to work on other projects in the region, building on the new relationships that have been forged through the place I call home and the knowledge and insights I have gained. After a particularly stressful 2 days packing and shipping the work from Bahrain to Saudi, I arrived at the Riyadh Gallery on my own to find that there was nobody there to help me with the install, which is what I was told that would happen. Their entire team were working off-site on another exhibition. I hurriedly phoned around and eventually was given the name of someone who was available to help the next day, at a price. I went off to buy tools and fixings, and then I received a call to return urgently to the gallery at 5 o'clock. When I got there, a member of the Saudi royal family, an artist, was waiting. She had arranged for a skilled installation team of 8 to put up the show under my supervision. I wasn't allowed to install any of the work myself, which is an unusual situation for me. I sat in a director's chair for the next 6 hours, making curatorial decisions. My energy levels were maintained by chocolates and coffee and stimulating conversation with the princess. I guess she was my fairy princess. Despite my earlier fears that this would end in disaster, we had the entire show on the wall in no time at all.